Yes, your main man David Gamma repping Circa City Gamers. What's going on YouTube? Yo, I've been watching a few videos lately, right? TKK, I'm so mad at you right now, dawg. Seems like you always wind up picking a topic and doing a video on something that I just was about to do. And then most of the time I wind up falling back because if I do it, then it's going to look like I only did it because of you. Nah, but shout outs to TKK though, man. You know, birds of a feather, right? Great minds thinking alike, that's all. But shout outs to TKK. He did a video on Street Fighter 4, specifically the old Niners, and those that were around for that era know exactly what he was talking about. You know, you can watch the video and get more details on it. Dayasha then kind of did a spin-off or some kind of video that was inspired by what TKK did, but he did it in his own way. He actually turned it into a series about Street Fighter 4, explaining his different interactions, online, offline, etc. And then a few minutes ago, I just saw a response video that Free One Up did to one of his videos. And these are all guys that were very active during that era, during that time. I'm going to refer to it as that era, and I'm talking specifically 08 to 2013. So let's just say that 5-year stretch, right? 08 to 2013. During those stages, a lot of things took place. I mean, more than I can even talk about in this video. And I notice sometimes guys, you know, like to toot their own horn and take credit. You know, I'm the first that ever did this. I'm the only that did that. Normally, I come in and I like to shut it down and give examples of how they weren't the first or how they didn't do it. But in this case, I got to give them some credit, man, because I've been also a victim of what happened during that era where some of the things I did were very organic and original, and honestly, Capcom, all these game developers and these companies that just emerged from the scene, they absolutely were watching this content that was put out by many of us very organically. And I'll give some examples, of course, to substantiate what I just stated. But first and foremost, let me touch on my experience in terms of what led me to the Street Fighter 4 YouTube gaming community. It wasn't actually even Street Fighter 4. And this is why I left a comment on Dayasha's channel, because I was like, dawg, you know, what happened to Street Fighter 2, man? And I guess he'll speak on that, you know, if he gets a chance, or maybe leave a comment and elaborate. But Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting was on the Xbox 360. Prior to Street Fighter 4, you had that and you had HD Remix. And all of the gamers that were like trash talkers and just trolling and doing all that crazy stuff, a lot of them were just on those two games, because that's the only thing that really existed in that format. They gave us the ability to talk trash and have a quick match and, you know, beat each other's breaks off, etc. There was this guy on Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, right? He was pretty good, but no one knew if he was legit, because it was hard to tell if he was using a turbo pad or if you would lag switch, and it was just hard to tell. But he would win, right? Like, he played Bison, and he was incredibly vulgar and offensive and racist. I mean, that's nothing new to Xbox Live plays, right? We all know they have those kind of guys around, but he was specifically on Street Fighter Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fight, my fault. And I remember running into him, and I beat the lights out of him. I mean, 5-0, and I perfected him twice. And each time he would disconnect, so I never really was able to get the win officially. He would just use this lag switch or method, and he would keep his position in the ranks. I went online. I wanted to see if anybody else had this kind of experience, and long and behold, a bunch of channels came up, and different people were saying, hey, you know, he's a troll, he's this, he's that. Dayasha was one of the guys that talked about that. He was one of the few that actually touched on that, and he was mad, man. Dayasha's always been the character. I remember seeing that video laughing like, yo, this dude, you know, he's like the living, he's expressing exactly what I'm feeling, basically. You know, he was going nuts. But yeah, Dayasha, if you remember what I'm talking about, elaborate on it, man. It was a guy, and I think it was even a team, and you had your own crew too back in the Street Fighter 2 days. And you was like, yo, you know, I can beat you and you're garbage. And you was showing like the messages that he sent you online, and you was going, it was really petty, you know, when I think back about it now. But back then, it was hype. It was crazy, and that's what we wanted to see, like these grudge matches. And so Hyper Fight and Street Fighter 2 is what brought me to YouTube. In fact, I'm going to link the very first video that I ever saw. This one is in 06, less than a year after YouTube came out. So everyone that wants to say, hey, I'm the first that was doing it, you know what, that's cool, especially with Street Fighter 4. Yes, you may be, but don't take all the credit, because gaming and street fighting, fighting gaming, I should say, fighting games, really been around forever. Like TKK touches on the arcade, and I remember being a kid using my lunch money quarters to play this game. So Street Fighter 4 did nothing but reignite all of the old schoolers, the casual players, the passionate players, and new players. And so while there are certain things that we definitely can take credit for, and I'm going to touch on that, there are a lot of other things that just happen organically, and nobody should really brag about that. So with that said, when Street Fighter 4 came around, my goodness, this game was such a polarizing, different experience of a game. And yes, you know, there's been fighting games way before. The Street Fighter's been around forever. Street Fighter 3, 2, and Alpha, EX, all of that. But Street Fighter 4 introduced so many different things that just blew everyone's brains out. Like, it was just the craziest thing. And as if you're watching, I'm just gonna play a few replays. I have about 3. When it's over, I'll end the video. But in the meantime, let me just go ahead and say, when Street Fighter 4 hit the scene, that's when a lot of things began to happen. Yes, I do recall seeing a few people, actually before DSP, before Free One Up, before all these other guys that became a mainstay and a popular name back in those times. However, those guys were the ones that were the most consistent, most regular. So of course, they were always going to come up whenever you search for Street Fighter, right? This is it was just back then, and that's how YouTube algorithms were designed. Like, whoever's putting up the most content, you're going to be ranked higher than anyone else. This is before Team Spooky, before Cross Counter, before anything that exists today, right? So I used to watch those guys, but when DSP came around with Street Fighter, that's the only thing I can stomach. Let me just be honest. I don't have any beef or problems with DSP, but I have to call a spade a spade. That guy is mind-blowingly obnoxious. He's I don't know, he just complains. He does everything that you just don't want to really see in the community, and that's why he's been kind of blackballed and kept out, as an outcast. No one's hating on him. He just has the personality that's very difficult to stomach. So with that, I used to see a few of his videos, and it's only because I love Street Fighter so much. I really didn't care who was playing it. You could have recorded it with a potato or Fisher Price, 1 megabyte camera. It didn't matter, 1 megapixel camera. And so when DSP was playing Street Fighter, I just watched because I liked seeing the game. The game was just a beautifully designed masterpiece. And so I remember the way he was talking. It was just so arrogant and condescending. And I was like, wow, this guy is beyond full of himself, right? Then I ran into TKK. And I forgot how that happened, but it was just like a complete contrast of what DSP was spewing out. TKK, here he is, an everyday guy. He's a working man. He's laid back. He's chill. He's humble. He got kids. He got like a mortgage. He's just doing all these things, and yet he loves the game. So with him, he kind of gave this energy that I feel I can completely relate to, which is a pure passionate energy. He never bragged about his accolades. He would tell stories about what he used to do and what he's trying to do, but it wasn't like this arrogant, condescending energy that DSP had. So when they had their set, that was probably the most rewarding thing to see. I love when a good guy wins. He's a good guy, man. And so again, shout outs to both DSP and TKK. I guess you need that kind of balance, but preferably I like the guys that do things out of passion, not money and showboating and all these other things. So as far as Dayasha, let me say this, man. Dayasha could be crazy. He's like all over the place, but that's just a Jersey thing. I'm from Jersey too, and Dayasha would tell you that Jersey, the tri-state area, New York, all of that, it's just full of just the most colorful people you'll ever meet. So, although he comes off very crazy, to me, he was just a regular dude that I probably would have went to school with. And one thing I really enjoyed about Dayasha, despite all the antics and crazy things he does and say, is when he's in the moment, he's in the moment. He's raw. He gives it to you live. And he's funny when he's actually not even trying to be funny. That's when I find him the funniest. And I'll give an example. He had beef with Venomous Fat Man, right? I don't know if you guys remember him. he used to do these OTGTs or something like that. But anyway, he had beef with him. And I remember Deyasha was like in the parking lot of Six Flags, right? He was in his Macho Man bag, right? He was just going crazy, like, yo, I'm about to go have fun and get on this coaster real quick. But when I come back, it's gonna be a wrap. And he just doing his Deyasha talk going in. But the crazy part is he was in an amusement park parking lot. Like, just let that sink in. It's crazy. Like, he about to get on the water slides and eat funnel cake and have a blast. But he had so much animosity that he swore he was going to come back. And he did do it. He came back and did a video going in. And that's kind of what I love. Again, I know it's petty, but that drama, that theatric, it was nuts. And that's really what existed back in that era. Everybody was just out for gold. They were just, it was like bounties on people's heads. Like, yo, this dude bragging, let's take him down. And sometimes you'll get what I call sneak videos where the person might lose a match and they'll just quit, rage quit or whatever, and then someone else would, they catch it on camera and upload it. It was all that type of craziness going on. It was pretty much like the Wild West. And because Street Fighter 4 was so new, anyone who put content up was really going to be amongst the original people who did that. And they were able to stake a claim in that. And I'm an example of that. I actually had a dude tell me not too long ago. He said, yo, I've been watching interview videos forever, right? But it wasn't until you did your final round videos, that's when I started seeing interviews within that format. And I had to look back. I'm not one to brag or boast, but I thought about it. I said, you know what's crazy? I did those final round videos merely because I was tired of seeing these fanboy approaches to these gamers. And it was always Justin Wong. It was always like, Stark and Daigo. It was only like 2 or 3 people that kept getting interviewed over and over prior to that, right? No one knew anything about anyone else other than just hearing rumors or looking at the leaderboards. So when I got an opportunity to go to a fighting game tournament, I wanted to interview like the top 16 and anyone else that I just thought was a good player overall. So I was grabbed the basic camera and the mic, and I just decided to start interviewing. I didn't do anything official. It wasn't like a press pass. I didn't have any recorded questions or any of that. It wasn't scripted. It was just me talking. And the funny thing is, I also did the music, right? The intro and the outro. Did the watermarks. I had all types of stats on the screen. Basically, I'm not bragging, but if you look at the interviews that I did, right, it's very difficult to find too many videos before that now use that standard, which is common. So it's a standard now. Every interview has stats and, this is so-and-so and he won this and he won that and blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of understand when TKK or even Free One Up or Deyasha, anyone, I understand when they want to state their claim and what they did to this community, because what I feel really has been going on, and I'm not too mad at this now, is that Capcom, these companies, even the one that I'm using to capture the video or the footage, game capturing companies and all these other companies, they emerged as a result of what was happening within the grassroots. All the things that we were doing organically was being looked at and now monetized, and companies were started and created as a result. And we didn't get any credit. Nobody cut us a check, right? So that's the part that I used to get mad at and say, yo, they have a whole, look at my interviews. I used to say, what do you guys think about a fighting game league? And they thought I was nuts for asking a question like that, right? Everyone was mocking and laughing in the comments on SRK and all these other websites that posted my videos. But when I thought about it like a year or two later, everybody had a sponsor. There were leagues all over the place. There was even this entire thing in overseas where it was like a ESPN version of the fighting game scene. I mean, they had the fight night. Yeah, I think that's what it was called. So I said to myself, see, you know what, man? We got to really find ways to not just have fun, but maybe monetize what we're doing. And I think that's where everyone is at. We're not as crazy and hungry as we were, but we're trying to be a little bit more strategic. And that's probably what slowed down these videos to a large extent. The other thing I believe is the egos. Again, when you feel like you're the first to do something and that becomes too much of a focus, or stats become too much of a focus, you get a little big-headed. That's what kind of happened with DSP, and that's why he lost so much respect from his followers, but also the fighting game community. That's also what happened with many of us. I'll just go ahead and say it, man. A lot of people got caught up in the whole, I got more subs than you, you don't get views, I get views, and all this other petty nonsense that amounted to nothing. Shout out to TKK, because he deleted a channel that had over like 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers, and he started from scratch. So that lets me know he's doing this for the love. Like, this guy loves video games, he loves Street Fighter, and he enjoys what he's doing. He's not concerned about all the logistics and everything else behind it. And that's what I'm hoping Street Fighter 5 does. So, again, I'm doing this video. This is my own version of what happened back in that era, and the good, bad, the ugly, but it's also a way of saying, hey guys, if you're watching this video and you're a part of the YouTube community, or you're just a casual gamer, or you're just a hardcore fighting game player that has a camera, a game capture card, whatever, please do some videos. Try to be as regular as possible. Put up some footage of ranked matches, casual matches, random matches, start a new series, or something creative. Like, shout out to Left Hand Monkey. He's done that with the whole road to 3,000. He did like a low tier special with Dan. There's a lot of people online that are doing some very interesting series, and that's why I'm glad that Dayashi is doing what he's doing. I look forward to that. Empire Arcadia. I hope you keep that raw and uncut, because I heard a lot of horror stories about them cats, and I did my own little thing, and I spoke to them off record. I never wanted to upload the video, but now that things have changed drastically. I hope you give a raw, uncut version of what your experience was like, how things panned out, etc. Again, shout outs to everybody that I ever played against. I know I'm not spoken about because I haven't been the type that did sets, so I don't have a lot of content out there, especially with these guys. But I've always been a behind the scenes type of dude. I work in the music industry, entertainment industry. I work in a lot of different industries, and one thing that's very common is that when you play a low key, or when you have a low-key type of personality, sometimes you observe a lot more than those that are in the mix. And so now I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm still going to be low-key, but I want to be more in the mix. I'm not just going to be a spectator chilling and enjoying the content. I'm going to try to be a provider of it as well. Anyways, with that said, I'm hoping that anyone that sees this video can join in on the conversation. Maybe do a video explaining what you think of Street Fighter 4, the legacy that is created, that era of YouTube from 08 to 2013, and what it did for you. What was your experience like? Do you know of any of these people? Is there other experiences that you had? I mean, shout outs to Checkmate, man. He's the only dude that I've ever seen just kind of give TKK that work, man. That dude is a really nice Ryu player. I played against him a few times. I beat him once or twice, but everybody wins after a while, right? And so people like that, man, I'm hoping all of those guys come back in the scene and start doing what they do. TKK, salute you, man. You're doing big things, and I'm glad to see that you're making moves, and hopefully you'll come back strong and be more regular. And I definitely will do the same. In fact, I'm working on a new gaming channel. I have a new setup. I'm going to do a video showing that off in about a week or so, so I have really no excuses. This video is actually on Steam, and I'm going to get Street Fighter 5 on Steam. I'm also planning to get it on PS4, which is the only reason why I have a PS4. And so you guys can send me a request. Circa City Gamers is the tag for all of my consoles and gaming devices, etc. But yeah, that was it, man. I just wanted to share those experiences with you guys. Hopefully that grudge match energy come back. That, I want to be the top dog, and just going back and forth energy will come back. But we got to keep it respectful, though, because that's where things kind of went haywire and went wrong, where it wasn't as fun as it should have been. Everyone was getting stressed out and, focusing on other things that took away. So it's all about balance, man. Let's get back into it. And I'm definitely going to be sending out some challenges when Street Fighter 5 come out. So all you guys that talked about, being ignored or not wanting to ignore, I hope you step up, because I'm ready to mop the floor with some people. Anyways, your boy David Gamma signing out for Circa City Gamers. Yo, Dayashi, if you see this video, leave a comment, shoot a video, let me know what happened, because I was looking for your video, man. I really wanted to find that video you did on Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting back in the day when there was all these crazy, yeah, let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Aside from that, everyone else, thanks for watching. Take care. Send me a request, Circa City Gamers. I'm out. Peace.